I thought I had everything figured out. 3 years with Amanda, the perfect ring. The venue booked, both families excited. My fiancé and my little sister Sarah had even become best friends, always going shopping together, laughing at inside jokes I was not part of. It felt like my world was coming together beautifully. Then one Friday night, I came home early from a work trip to San Jose, planning to surprise Amanda. I walked into my own apartment, saw Sarah's jacket by the door, and assumed they were having a girls' night. But when I opened my bedroom door, I stood there frozen, watching my entire future crumble in front of my eyes. But what came next was even worse. Before I tell you how my own family turned against me in the worst possible way, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your city or country in the comments below, hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to hear how I walked away from all of them and never looked back. Now let me take you back to that night that changed everything. It was 9:30 on a Friday evening. I was supposed to return Saturday morning, but I had wrapped up the conference early and decided to drive back from San Jose. I was excited thinking about surprising Amanda with takeout from her favorite Thai place. When I walked into our apartment and saw Sarah's jacket hanging by the door, I smiled. My little sister and my fiancé watching movies together. How sweet, right, wrong. I walked down the hallway toward our bedroom, and that is when I heard it. Sounds that made my stomach drop. I pushed the door open, and there they were. Amanda and Sarah, in my bed. In the apartment I paid for, wearing clothes I had bought them for Christmas. The room went silent. Amanda's face turned white. Sarah just stood there like a statue, unable to move or speak. I felt like someone had reached into my chest and ripped out my lungs. Amanda started crying immediately. She stumbled over her words, trying to explain. "It just happened, Tony. We were drunk. It did not mean anything." I looked at Sarah, my baby sister, the girl I had protected her whole life, driven to soccer practice, helped with homework, paid for her college textbooks when mom and dad were short on money. She whispered, "I am so sorry, big brother. I never meant to hurt you." I did not say a word. I could not. My body felt numb, like I was watching this happen to someone else. I turned around, grabbed my car keys from the kitchen counter, and walked out. I got in my car and just drove. No destination, no plan. I ended up on Highway 1, staring at the dark ocean, trying to process what I had just seen. Around 3 in the morning, I called my best friend Marcus, my coworker, and the only person I trusted at that moment. He stayed on the phone with me until sunrise, just listening while I tried to make sense of the betrayal. Saturday morning, I knew what I had to do. I called Amanda. "We are done. Do not contact me again." I hung up before she could respond. Then I called Sarah. "You are dead to me." I blocked both of them on every platform I could think of. Phone, text, Instagram, Facebook, everything. Then I contacted our wedding planner and canceled everything. The venue, the catering, the flowers, the band. I lost the deposit, nearly $15,000, but I did not care. Money meant nothing compared to what I had lost. That afternoon, my mom Linda called. Tony's sweetheart Sarah told me everything. She is devastated. I took a deep breath and explained as calmly as I could exactly what had happened. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then she said, "I understand you are hurt, but she is your baby sister. She made a mistake." I felt the second wave of shock hit me. "Mom," I said, "she slept with my fiancé in my bed." My mother replied, "People make mistakes when they drink. You need to calm down and think about this." I could not believe what I was hearing. My own mother was making excuses for Sarah. Then my dad, Robert, sent me a text message. "Son, let us talk this through like adults. Sarah is going through a lot right now." I stared at my phone, reading that sentence over and over. I texted back, "Going through what? I am the one who got betrayed." His response came quickly. I know, but family is family. We need to stick together. By the end of that day, I realized something that made my heart sink even deeper. My family was not on my side. They were choosing Sarah. I sat alone in Marcus's guest room where I was staying temporarily and felt more alone than I had ever felt in my life. The people who were supposed to have my back were telling me to get over it, to forgive, and forget to be the bigger person. Nobody asked if I was okay. Nobody acknowledged how much this hurt. They only cared about Sarah's feelings. The first week after everything happened was a blur. I moved into Marcus's apartment while I searched for a new place to live. Every single day, my phone buzzed with messages from family members. My mom, my dad, my Aunt Patricia, my Uncle Michael, even my grandmother. The messages were all the same. Give Sarah another chance. Family forgives. She is your little sister. You two have always been so close. Do not let this ruin your relationship. Not one person asked how I was doing. Not one person said what Sarah did was wrong. They all just wanted me to make it easier for them by pretending nothing had happened. 2 weeks after the incident, my dad called and asked me to come to Sunday dinner. We need to talk as a family, he said. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to believe that maybe finally they would listen to my side. Maybe they would understand. So I agreed. I drove to my parents' house in San Ramon at 6 in the evening, hoping for some kind of resolution. The moment I walked through the front door, I knew I had made a mistake. Everyone was there. My mom, my dad, Sarah, Aunt Patricia, Uncle Michael, and my cousins Jason and Emily. They were all sitting in the living room waiting for me. It looked like an intervention, and that is exactly what it was. My dad started talking first. Tony, we are all here because we love you and Sarah. We cannot let this tear our family apart. My mom jumped in next. Sarah has been crying for 2 weeks straight. She can barely eat. You need to forgive her so we can all move on. I looked around the room. Aunt Patricia nodded in agreement. Tony, you have always been the mature one. Show some grace. Uncle Michael added, we all make mistakes. What matters is how we handle them. Then I looked at Sarah. She was sitting on the couch, tissues in her hand, eyes red and swollen. I am so sorry, Tony, she said, her voice breaking. I hate myself for what I did. Please, I cannot lose you. For a split second, I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Then I remembered walking into my bedroom and seeing her with Amanda, and the anger came rushing back. Are you all serious right now? I said, my voice louder than I intended. She slept with my fiancé in my own apartment. And you want me to just forgive and forget? My mom stood up. We are not saying forget, but holding grudges will only hurt you more. Sarah needs your forgiveness to heal. I stared at her in disbelief. What about my healing? Does anyone care about that? My dad sighed. Of course we do. That is why we are asking you to be the bigger person. Then my 18-year-old cousin Emily chimed in. Come on, Tony. It is not like they killed someone. It was just sex. I felt my blood pressure spike. Just sex with my fiancé. The person I was going to marry. You think that is just sex? She shrugged. I mean, yeah, people cheat all the time. You will get over it. I stood up ready to leave, but my mom started crying. You are being selfish, Tony. Think about what this is doing to Sarah's mental health. She is seeing a therapist now. The words hit me like a slap. I am being selfish. My dad nodded. Yes. You are putting your pride above your family. I could not believe this was happening. They were actually blaming me. Sarah walked over to me, tears streaming down her face. Please, big brother, I will do anything. I will go to therapy with you. I will apologize to Amanda's family, anything. I looked at her and said, You want to apologize to Amanda's family? Amanda was in on this too. You both betrayed me. She grabbed my arm. I know, but I am your blood. That has to count for something. Uncle Michael stood up and put his hand on my shoulder. Tony, in 5 years this will not matter. But cutting off your sister, that will matter forever. Aunt Patricia added, your grandfather would be so disappointed to see this family divided. That was it. That was the moment I knew I was done. I looked at my uncle and said very calmly, you want to know what grandfather would be disappointed about? That his family is defending someone who stabbed her own brother in the back. That you all care more about her feelings than mine. That not one of you has asked if I am okay. My mom tried to interrupt. We know you are hurting, sweetie, but I cut her off. No, you do not know. Because if you knew, you would not be doing this. I looked directly at Sarah. You are not my sister anymore. Then I looked at my mom and dad. And you are choosing her over me. So be it. I walked toward the front door. My mom ran after me. Tony, if you leave now, you are making a huge mistake. I turned around one last time. The only mistake I made was thinking my family would have my back. That night, I sat in Marcus's living room and wrote an email to my entire family. I explained in clear and calm language exactly why I felt betrayed. Not just by Sarah, but by all of them. I told them that their reaction had hurt me more than the original betrayal. I wrote that I needed to heal, and I could not do that surrounded by people who prioritized my abuser's comfort over my pain. At the end of the email, I made my position clear. From this day forward, I am no longer part of this family. Do not contact me. Do not show up at my home or workplace. I sent the email at 2 a.m. The next day, I took action. I blocked every single family member on my phone, text messages, email, Instagram, Facebook, everything. Then I went to the phone store and changed my number completely. I found a new apartment in downtown Oakland on the opposite side of the bay from San Ramon, where my family lived. I did not tell anyone in my family the new address. I even contacted HR at my company and told them that if anyone from my family showed up looking for me, they were not allowed in the building. Then I went through all my social media and deleted every photo that had my family in it. The first week, Marcus asked me, "Are you sure about this man? They are still your family." I looked at him and said, "They stopped being my family when they chose her side." He did not argue after that. He just supported me. The first month was brutal. I threw myself into work, staying at the office 12 to 14 hours a day. On weekends, I would go running sometimes 10 or 12 miles, just to burn off the anger and sadness. I started seeing a therapist, a guy named Dr. Hammond. He was an African-American man in his early 50s, calm and thoughtful. He helped me understand something important. You are not just angry at the betrayal, he said. You are grieving the family you thought you had. He was right. I had always believed that family meant unconditional support. I thought that no matter what happened, my parents would be on my side. But that Sunday dinner proved me wrong. They cared more about keeping the peace than about my pain. Dr. Hammond helped me see that I had spent my whole life being the responsible one, the mature one, the one who always had to be the bigger person. And Sarah had always been the baby, the one who got away with everything, because she was the youngest, the little princess. One night, about 6 weeks after I cut contact, I sat alone in my new apartment and cried for the first time since everything happened. I was not crying about Amanda. I was not even crying about Sarah. I was crying because I had lost a family. The family I thought I had never really existed. It was a painful realization, but it was also the beginning of my healing. By the third month, something shifted. Marcus introduced me to a side project he was working on, a startup idea that needed another developer. I met the team. There was Priya, an Indian-American woman who did front-end development. There was James, a white guy who handled UX design. And there was Kevin, an Asian-American back-end developer like me. None of them knew anything about my past. They just knew I was good at my job. Working with them was refreshing. We would grab coffee after work, talk about code and design and stupid jokes. Priya organized hiking trips on weekends, and I started going. We hiked in Marin in the East Bay Hills, sometimes down in Big Sur. For the first time in months, I laughed. Real, genuine laughter. I started to realize that I could build meaningful relationships outside of blood family. These people chose to spend time with me because they liked me, not because they were obligated to. By the 6th month, our startup project took off. A big tech company bought the whole thing. I received stock options worth close to $200,000. Marcus could not believe it. "Dude," he said, "you are killing it." I smiled. For the first time in months, I actually feel like myself again. It was true. The Tony who had been crushed by betrayal was starting to disappear. In his place was someone stronger, someone who knew his worth. 8 months after I cut contact, I received a letter in the mail. There was no return address, but I recognized my mother's handwriting immediately. I almost threw it away without opening it, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened it and read, "Tony, it has been 8 months. Sarah is getting married. She wants you at her wedding. Please come home." I stood there for a long moment staring at those words. Then I walked over to my shredder and fed the letter through it. I did not respond. I did not acknowledge it. I just let it go. A week later, my Aunt Patricia showed up at my office. HR called me and said there was a woman in the lobby claiming to be my family. I texted back, "Tell her I do not work here anymore." HR understood and turned her away. I never found out what she wanted to say, and I did not care. My boundaries were set, and I was not going to let anyone cross them. 1 year after I walked out of that Sunday dinner, my life looked completely different. I had been promoted to senior engineer at my company. The startup project had transitioned successfully, and I was now working as a part-time advisor for the company that bought us. I moved into a bigger apartment in downtown San Francisco, with a view of the Bay Bridge. Every morning I woke up to the sight of the water and the city skyline, and I felt grateful. My new friends had become my chosen family. Kevin and I became gym buddies working out 5 days a week. Priya introduced me to her older sister Anjali, who worked in healthcare. We started getting coffee together, and I felt a connection I had not felt since before Amanda. Nothing serious yet, just the possibility of something good. On Sundays, instead of family dinners filled with guilt and obligation, I had Sunday brunch with Marcus, James, Priya, Kevin, and a few other friends. We would meet at different spots around the city, try new restaurants, laugh about work and life. For the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere, without having to sacrifice who I was. One Saturday afternoon, I was at Whole Foods near the Ferry Building picking up groceries for the week. I was in the produce section looking at avocados, when I heard a voice behind me. "Tony?" I turned around and saw my cousin Jason. He was 22 now, taller and more mature looking than I remembered. "Man, it is really you," he said. "I have been wanting to reach out, but you know." I nodded. "How are you doing, Jason?" I kept my tone polite but distant. He looked uncomfortable. "I am good. Listen, I just want to say I think what the family did was wrong. I was too young to speak up back then, but I get it now." I was surprised. "I appreciate that I said." He continued. "Sarah got divorced. The marriage lasted 7 months. And Mom and Dad, they argue a lot now. I think they regret how they handled things." I did not feel victorious hearing that. I just felt sad. "I am sorry to hear that," I said honestly. Jason shifted his weight from one foot to the other. "Do you ever think about coming back?" I looked at him, this kid who had grown into a young man, and I felt a strange sense of peace. "Jason," I said calmly, "I did come back. I came back to myself." He stared at me for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I get it." We said goodbye and I walked away. That night I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine looking out at the city lights. I thought about the conversation with Jason. I realized something important. I was not angry at my family anymore. The rage that had consumed me for months had faded, but I also did not need them. I had forgiven them in my own way, but forgiveness did not mean I had to let them back into my life. Dr. Hammond had told me once, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still choose to keep them out of your life. He was right. I texted Marcus. Remember when you asked if I was sure about cutting them off? I am still sure. He replied immediately, good. Because the Tony I know now is way happier than the Tony from 2 years ago. I smiled. He was absolutely right. I leaned back in my chair and thought about everything I had learned. I learned that blood does not always mean loyalty. I learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who hurt you, even if they are family. I learned that you can build a family from the people who choose to stand by you, not just the people who happen to share your DNA. Most importantly, I learned that choosing yourself is not selfish. It is survival. My parents wanted me to be the bigger person, and I was. I was big enough to recognize that I deserved better. I was big enough to walk away from toxicity even when it wore the mask of family. I was big enough to choose my own peace over their comfort. Some people might call what I did extreme. They might say I should have given them another chance, that family is supposed to forgive everything. But for me, it was not about punishment or revenge. It was about protecting myself. It was about refusing to accept crumbs of respect from people who should have given me the whole meal. Looking back now, I do not regret a single decision I made. I do not regret cutting them off. I do not regret building a new life. I do not regret choosing myself. Because honestly, I have never been happier. I wake up every day surrounded by people who respect me, who value me, who would never ask me to diminish my pain to make them comfortable. And that is worth more than any blood relation could ever be. If you have ever had to choose between your peace and your family's expectations, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your story. Have you ever had to walk away from family? How did you handle it? And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more real-life stories about navigating difficult family dynamics and choosing yourself. Your support means everything, and I love reading your comments and connecting with you. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it reminds you that you are allowed to protect your peace no matter who you have to distance yourself from. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember, you deserve people in your life who celebrate you, not people who ask you to shrink. Until next time.